All right, welcome everybody into the Week 8 preview with the Ravens at the Arizona Cardinals. Week 8 already. We're basically midway through the season now. I mean,
pretty much after this week.
So this is our first 4:30 game because we are out on the West Coast. I know Harbaugh said that they left on, they're leaving on Friday tomorrow. Games at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. On CBS, our broadcasting crew is Chris Lewis and Ross Tucker. And let me tell you, I hate Ross Tucker.
Yeah. They chose the ones that they knew would go after the Ravens.
Yeah, and I think that there's just they know this game's probably not going to be close, so they're not giving us the cream of the crop. But
you never know with these Cardinals, man. You never know with these Cardinals.
You know, but for the threads of the week, they've announced for the first time this year we will be wearing white jersey on white pants, all white out. And the weather is going to be 78 degrees and clear with a 9-mile-an-hour wind. I think it's in a dome, though, but I think the top's open, so the wind shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't think the wind will be too much of an issue, but it's definitely going to be warmer than we've been playing in. The spread right now is Baltimore's favored by 8.5. It's been fluctuating a little bit, but that's what it is as of right now. Over under 44 points. Arizona is 1-6. We are 5-2. Arizona. What?
The ref? You forgot the ref.
Yes, the referee is here. Trey Blake. Let me pull him up for everyone to see.
I already know who that is.
You already know?
I know the audience wants to see, but I've been watching long enough. Just every time I hear a name, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm just gonna roll my eyes in some sort of way.
All right, so here's Trey Blake. This is our referee this year. It's his second year as the head referee. He got put in that role, I guess, for the first time last year in the NFL. And as of right now, he's top 5 in accepted penalties, second most for defensive pass interferences, first in defensive holding. So defensive backs definitely have to watch their penalties this week because that is an easy way to give up big yards.
He is a hard ass, and you know what? I actually think it'll serve us to have a pretty tough ref because maybe we can get rid of some of the mistakes defensively. I feel like that could be a killer, like you were saying.
Yeah, and then with all of those penalties that he does throw, 60% of his games have hit the under because of, just all those flags, I think, is going to prevent offenses from scoring. But as far as injuries go, let's go start off with signings. All right, so signings, we did not sign anyone, but as of today, we did waive Jeremiah Moon, outside linebacker. My guess is that is to promote Melvin Gordon because with Keaton Mitchell being injured, probably not being ready to go this week, I would expect that. The other person that it could be, if Keaton Mitchell is ready and fine, is Tylan Wallace for special teams use.
He was practicing all week, right? Or
yes.
So far.
Yes. And then just let's go ahead and talk trade block now, while we're talking about signings.
I hate to get excited before anything happens. I will preface with that.
So there's been heavy reports that Derrick Henry and the Ravens are very interested in trading for Derrick Henry and that they have talked with the Titans extensively. I did just see us right before we got on this podcast that the Buffalo Bills are also in talks with Tennessee for Derrick Henry. Either way, Derrick Henry is on the move. I'd love to see him in black and purple, that's for sure. But
here's the thing is the Bills had their chance in the offseason when there was a lot of talk of him being traded, and they didn't trade for him, and they also didn't sign a wide receiver. The Bills have shot themselves in the foot, and you know what? I don't even care if he comes to Baltimore or not. I hope he does. That'd be awesome. But as long as he doesn't go to Buffalo, they're one of those teams that just always neglects stuff, but somehow manages to get by, and I'm tired of seeing it, and I'm glad that it's shooting them in the foot. Plan better. There's a reason why the Ravens signed so much depth. There is a reason. Derrick Henry as a power back in our offense. We would be pretty much unstoppable anywhere within 10 yards, anywhere in the red zone. And that's just the red zone because Lamar's running ability, Derrick Henry's running and blocking and catching abilities, and then everything else that we saw last week,
Yeah, I think the other thing that you got to keep in mind is Derrick Henry's on the end of his career, and I think the Titans are going to try to do him right and try to get him on a team that is definitely a contender. And right now, if you're looking at it from Derrick Henry's point of view, would he rather go to Buffalo or would he rather go to Baltimore?
I don't know. We did lose the Steelers.
Yeah, but based off what you just recently saw, we are the hottest team, especially offensively, in football right now. He played against us, so he already has a good feeling about, what we got going on. So,
right. Hey, a running back like Derrick Henry in that London game might have been the difference between us only winning by the margin we did and completely blowing them out, so you never know.
You never know. The other person that has come out and said that the Ravens have reached out to him is Ndamukong Suh, defensive tackle. He's I don't know how old he is. He's probably like 15-year vet right now at this point.
He's 36, 35.
Yeah, so I guess he was on some sports broadcast and he said that the Ravens had reached out to him, and then it was right after our game versus the Lions, and he was like, "Yeah, they look pretty good today."
Yeah.
I just don't think that unless someone gets hurt or something like that later on in the season, I don't see us going after him. Well, I don't think anyone's going to sign him until probably week 13, 14 anyways, because he's just trying to ramp up for the playoffs and help a team out at that point.
Let me play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Okay, let's just say we get through the trade deadline. We do or don't get Derrick Henry. We're at a spot where we've made a couple signings and we have some money left over. I think we should sign him, and this is why. Can you just imagine the rotation of Michael Pierce, Matabike, Travis Jones, and freaking Ndamukong Suh just consistently for the rest of the season and into the playoffs? I think it's cool to have him in the playoffs. I think if we really want to get the most out of him, we sign him as soon as possible and just get him in a rotation, keep people healthy, let them play lower snap counts, but really utilize their strengths,
Yeah, I guess you can never really have enough of those guys. He's been there. He's been on teams that have been successful. He's been with the Buccaneers through a Super Bowl run. And
wasn't he also on the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year?
Oh, yeah, he was, wasn't he? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So he's been on recent successful teams. He knows what it takes. So you get that kind of leadership veteran background and aspect with that. Kind of pairs well with Kyle Van Noy, who's won 2 Super Bowls. So that part of it I really like. As far as him playing, I think you have to bring him in for a workout, and he has to prove to you that he's in shape and ready to go. Otherwise, I don't think it's worth it. I'm not interested in just signing a guy to play, 10 snaps a game.
Fair. That's also a fair point.
Because I'm just thinking, worst case scenario, someone does get hurt, in the back half of the season. We just spent money on a guy that we don't necessarily need, and then we could have used it on someone else that we do.
And that's probably why we won't sign him unless there is an injury that we just don't know about.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, let's go ahead and move on. Oh, first off, we just wanted to pull this up real quick because, this was back when the season schedules came out back in May. I bookmarked this, and I think a few other guys on the team did, maybe Lamar, basically calling him a running back. So, hopefully Lamar goes out there and proves that he's going to beat them with his arm and not his legs. Or maybe both.
Well, it'll be easier now that he has a full cast of receivers rather than just one.
Yeah, I'm excited I want to see the Ravens account repost this after we smack their ass.
That would be awesome. What would be really embarrassing is if we lose this game. So let's hope that we kick some ass first and then just continually rub it in their face. um,
Looking at the injury report now, this is what we got. So, Roquan Smith scared us all yesterday by not practicing with the so-called shoulder injury. And then he put all that to bed and practiced completely full today on Thursday. So he said he's all good. He's going to be playing as long as the sun shines and the game isn't canceled. He'll be there and ready to play. Right. Marcus Williams will not practice or will not play. He hasn't practiced yet. He is going to be out this week for sure.
He's been on a side field working out. He's been working out on the side. So I think that
so has Tyus Bowser for the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks.
That's true. I will say the last time we saw Marcus Williams working out on the sideline, he was back the week after. So
okay, so next week maybe.
Maybe.
And then Keaton Mitchell didn't practice yesterday, but he wasn't in a limited capacity today, Thursday, so he could be questionable. But based off what Harbaugh said, he said he was week to week, so I'm going to say he's probably going to be out. I said earlier with Jeremiah Moon being waived, I think we go ahead and we just raise up Melvin Gordon.
Right. That would be a good he would be a good back to have against the Cardinals. Speaking of John Harbaugh, by the way, he is the entire reason that I was so panicked about Roquan Smith, because his response. I'm not going to talk about that right now. No more questions. That doesn't sound good, especially from John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
On the whole Roquan issue. So I am just as relieved as anyone else.
You cannot listen to John Harbaugh when it comes to injuries whatsoever.
You can't.
I honestly think he's just trying to play Jedi mind tricks on the other team because he thinks they're going to pay attention to him.
You know, John Harbaugh is a goofy person, so I could see that. But also, I know not to pay attention, but he did scare me with that because Roquan wasn't saying anything. And, it's not like – I mean, we've had a couple of serious injuries this year where we didn't hear anything until after the game. The biggest one, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ardarius Washington. Just all of a sudden, nothing was said post-game, then he's out for the year. So It wouldn't put it past me that something like that could happen. So I was, sweating bullets all day.
Going on, though, we got Kayvon Seymour is back to full as of today. Then
That's
we've
good.
got Tylan Wallace is back full practicing. He's still designated to return, injury reserve, designated to return, whatever that stands for. So I think he's got another 2 weeks before we have to activate him or make a decision. OBJ practiced full yesterday, and then today was limited with a shoulder injury. So that was kind of interesting to see that he was fine Wednesday, didn't practice today, or practice limited today. Same with Owe. His ankle, I guess, flared up and practiced full on Wednesday. Thursday, today was limited.
Wasn't OBJ dealing with a shoulder at some point this year already, though?
He never officially said he was, but we did see that he was wearing a shoulder brace or bandage on it. So there was definitely something, I think, lingering with that. So maybe he popped it, or not popped it, but maybe he just flared it up in a drill or something like that in practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a lot of usage last week, so that first practice back might be a little sore for that,
Yeah. I wouldn't read too much into either of those two. I think they'll be fine, barring any setbacks, but we'll see. We've got to keep an eye on it. But
look at that.
Cardinals.
Look at that. Good for him.
They've got 3 players that did not practice. Linebacker Chris Barnes, D lineman Kevin Strong, O lineman Elijah Wilkinson. I've never heard of any of these players before.
No.
Have you?
I think I might have heard of Barnes before. I'm pretty sure he used to play somewhere else, but I don't know either of those other guys. I think Elijah Wilkinson, he was a draft pick recently, but I don't know. That's a question for Calvin.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you guys if any of those guys have practiced, or have started or what, but who knows. Limited Antonio Hamilton, Zach Pascal at receiver, Jalen Thompson at safety. They have had no changes. And then Kelvin Beacom, O-lineman, is fully on practice. Kyler Murray's in the same boat as Tylan Wallace with his IR designated to return, has been completely fully practicing and taking starter reps from reports. But I don't think they're going to think it's a good idea for his first game to come back against Baltimore. And if they wanted to, I feel like they would have already made that announcement, but I don't know.
Right. I mean, they could be trying to play like John Harbaugh games and then he gets like named starter the morning of. I don't really think that makes a big difference in the outcome of the game.
If anything, I think it helps you because he's going to be 100% rusty when he comes back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Kyler Murray at his full strength is a good quarterback, but Kyler Murray coming off of 12 months missing, I don't know. You know, I'm actually have been on the Kyler Murray train. I was against him his rookie year, but then I went and saw him play in 2019 when Hollywood had that amazing catch to seal the game his rookie year. And like that was the second game of Kyler's career, and he like immediately changed my mind just in person. Yeah. And I've been a fan of him ever since. You know, I know he has all this stupid drama surrounding him. I think it's all like overdone. I think at the end of the day, this man is a legitimate number one quarterback with a good pair of legs. The only slight on him is he's a little short, but he still makes it work. So I wish him the best, and I hope for his sake he doesn't come back against us because that might not be too good
for him.
For us, that would be amazing. For him. I think you got to roll with the hot hand. Josh Dobbs has been serviceable, and like you're already 1-6. Do you think if you go 2-6, all of a sudden you're going to end up being 11-6 or something like that? Like,
I think at this point for them, it's more so they want to get Murray in there at some point so that they can make a decision on whether or not to draft a quarterback next year.
I get that, but what I was trying to say was like starting him today. Like, will the difference of being 1-6 and 2-6 and 1-7 be that big of a difference if he started in 1?
No.
You know, like the worst thing that could happen to Kyler Murray is he comes out and he starts doing well, and then he hurts himself again.
Yeah. Another player that is not on the injury report, obviously, because he's already been put on IR, is Zach Ertz, their starting tight end. He got put on injured reserve. I think with a quad injury. And then their first and second string running backs, James Conner and Marlon Mack, are both on the IR. They've been there for a couple weeks now. So we're facing their third string running back. I forget his name. It's a weird one, but
they still were very neck and neck with the Seahawks for 3.5 quarters last week. I know that's a divisional game, and I know that we are on paper so much more prepared to win this game. But we lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I don't want to get too high after last week's win. I'm not trying to be a downer. I think we're going to win pretty soundly. But I don't want to get too excited and then watch us lay an egg and then all of a sudden the sky is falling again, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like this is a legit NFL team that did beat the Cowboys and probably could have beaten at least 2 or 3 other teams that they've lost to. So you know how those one-score games are. We've lost how many over the last 10 years? So.
Yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get into the TK's Coaches Film Room segment.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.
Exciting one this week.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the TK's Coaches Film Room study. Here we are going to be going over the All-22 for the Ravens versus Lions game from Week 7. Just obviously absolute domination for the Ravens. A lot to like. But just some overarching notes before we get into it. Rashad Bateman looks so much faster. He looks like he's 100% now, and I think he's going to have a good next couple weeks here. He's running really crisp routes, getting in and out of his breaks, and just looks really good. One thing that we did this week was we matched up Kyle Hamilton with Laporta, and as you can see, Laporta didn't do anything versus us. So I think anytime we do have to play against a top tight end like Laporta, I can definitely see McDonald making sure we match up Hamilton on him because he's very, very good in man coverage with that, with his length and his just athleticism overall. Another thing with McDonald is that I like to see was he was very aggressive on first and second down this week. Was not afraid to blitz, not afraid to bring pressure, and Jared Goff definitely felt it and folded pretty quickly. I'd say Morgan Moses had his best game this week. He, overall the offensive line played really, really well. Definitely their best game overall. But Morgan Moses was matched up on Hutchinson most of the game and didn't really affect us at all. So that was huge. I loved Todd Monken's play sequencing. I thought he did a really good job with just setting things up this week and being creative throughout the game, not just in certain situations. He did it all throughout the game. Isaiah Likely, I think, is becoming a better blocker in space and in line as a tight end. He's taking on that role a little bit more. I would like to see him get involved more in the passing game because he is such a threat in the passing game as a receiver. Brandon Stevens is playing better than Marlon Humphrey right now in coverage. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but right now Humphrey just doesn't look like his old self getting in and out of breaks. He's fine in zone coverage, but when it's in man coverage, the receivers are getting a lot of separation on him. And then also the last 2 weeks defensively, the most success that has come against us from opposing offenses has been on screen plays. With Tennessee, they did it, especially with, I think, Spears. They got him out there. The Lions, the little offensive success that they did have, they had probably 5 or 6 different screen plays that they drew up and got yards on, which is no surprise because that's part of their scheme already. And then our red zone defense continues to impress. Our red zone defense is top. Probably, I don't even know what the rankings are, but they have to be close to the number one, if not the best. And then lastly, a player that I really impressed me, Rock Ya-Sin. He didn't play a lot, but when he did play later on in the game, more garbage time stuff, when the Lions were still having their starters in and he was covering St. Brown, which is their top guy, he played very well, covered very well. Even I think Jamison Williams, the speed didn't really affect him. I think he got beat once, but it was an incomplete pass, so it didn't really matter. But he did a really good job in coverage. All right, as always, we are going to start off with the offense. Starting off first drive, this play has gotten a lot of attention this week. I just wanted to kind of show everyone what's going on. So what we've got here is essentially it's like a triple option. A lot of people think it's just like a regular RPO, but this is normally when you have an RPO, Lamar does not have the option to really run. It's more so he's either going to hand it off or throw it. Here, he is going to have his initial dive read as this defensive end right here. All right, so we're going to let it play out. Okay, we got a motion. All right, so he's reading 97 right here. We've got our center and our tackle pulling on a counter. It's a CT counter instead of the normal GT with the guard and tackle pulling. So Linderbaum's actually pulling now and reading the defensive end. He takes the running back, so Lamar pulls it. We're going to have the option to throw either a flat here to Zay Flowers, or we have a little snag here to Odell. So Lamar pulls it. He's running, all right, unless for some reason otherwise. All right, so if this guy takes Lamar away, if we're not able to block him up front, Lamar's going to either have option A or option B. This defender right here in the flats chose Zay, so he's going to take Odell right now, and Odell gets a big play. Nice, really nice play design. All right, very next play, we've got a nice play action pass here. What you're going to get is, let's draw this out for us. We're going to get a vertical here. We're going to get some type of over here, a climb route, as I like to call it. And then Zay is going to run the dig route right behind it. All right, so let's go ahead and watch it out. Lamar's going to be reading this safety. If he takes Mark Andrews right now, he should throw it to Zay Flowers on that dig behind him. All right now, safety commits. And then you got the easy dig route right behind him. But he places it perfectly over the linebacker with beautiful touch. That's what I really wanted to implement there and just really talk about. All right, next, this is the touchdown run with Lamar. I think this is a pre-snap read based on the numbers. If you look to the right of the center, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defenders. To the left of the center, you've got 1, 2, 3, and then the corner and the receiver are manned up. So 3 or 7. I'm going to go to the 3-man side, and basically we're going to have Ronnie Stanley, left tackle. He's going to be pulling out into space to take on the most dangerous man. And then Lamar is just going to, based off the pre-snap read, he is going to fake the handoff to Gus Edwards instead of giving it to him, and then just follow Stanley down the left side. All right, the motion really attracts the defense. They got all their eyes going that way. Also, everyone thinks Gus has the ball, even this guy right here. He is keyed in on Gus. Little do they know, you got Ronnie Stanley, and just watch Ronnie Stanley here. This is beautiful. This is some blindside stuff right here. Starts at the goal line and drives this defender all the way off the field. That's 15 plus yards, and then he takes out the cameraman as well. I mean, dude is a beast. He's really coming back. I know I talked poorly about him early on when he was coming back from his injury, but he's proven me wrong. He's doing a really, really good job, and he looks like he's getting back to his old self. All right, next, I just want to highlight Lamar's patience. He just looks so calm in this offense right now, and there's a reason why he just won Offensive Player of the Week. All right, so look, he's got to his left side, he's got a little route combination. Go ball, he's got a post behind it, and then you got your check down to Gus. They're in man coverage, it looks like, and they're all kind of covered up. And so Lamar is looking that way right away, but he knows back in the back of his mind, he's got one-on-one coverage with Bateman back here on a stop route, comeback route, whatever you want to call it. And so he climbs the pocket, peeks back to the right, sets his feet, and just delivers a strike. And Bateman had the separation. Like I mentioned earlier, Bateman is getting plenty of separation. Here it is from the tight view. I just want to watch Lamar's eyes and watch how he just is so patient and calm. Here he is. He looked off already. He's climbing the pocket. He could see in his peripheral right now Rashad Bateman coming open. He flips his hips. Look how quick that release is. I mean, that was like ridiculous. Perfect strike. All right, here, one of the negatives of the day was the Lamar and Justice Hill fumble. All right, but what I also want to point out is it wasn't just a fumble. It was a misread on Lamar's part. So earlier I said we run normally GT counter. That's exactly what this is. So both Zeitler and Moses are going to be pulling to the left side, and we should be reading still this end man on the line of scrimmage here, 97, Hutchinson. All right, so we're going to send the motion. All right, so Lamar is going to read him. If he takes Hill, he should pull it. I don't believe this is an RPO. It's just a straight read option off the counter. All right, right now, Lamar should pull this ball, and he should be off to the races. He's got numbers out here, and it is Isaiah Likely out in space as a lead blocker as well. One cardinal sin as a quarterback when you are running the read option is do not let the ball get past your front hip. In this case, that's his left hip. So the ball is outside of his front hip. He needs to make a decision before that happens. So unfortunately, he doesn't do that. He doesn't make the right decision in the first place. He should pull it. But once he does make that decision to hand it off, once that ball is past your front hip, Give the ball. Do not let your hand stick in the pocket and cause this fumble. I think that fumble's on Lamar, not Justice. All right, this is a really cool play that has garnered some attention. It looks like a bootleg to the this side right here. You're gonna basically have let's see, you got a pulling lineman. You got Mark Andrews is crossing. I believe he's just gonna run a comeback, and you got a crosser behind him. And then we got right here, Gus Edwards is going to leak out this way. What I think is happening is Lamar is going to have this guy 46 unblocked. If he sees that right away, that he is not diving inside right now so that Lamar can get outside of him, he is just going to basically buy some space, buy some real estate, and then give the ball right now to Gus Edwards. A lot of people thought this was just a busted play, and Gus Edwards, kind of made this happen, and Lamar made this happen on their own, just on the fly. But I think that this was in the play, part of the game plan in case this were to happen. All right, so we can see 46 is unblocked. Lamar took one step, buys some time. All right, they've got nobody over here. He makes this one defender take Lamar, and he just dumps it over his head, and the rest is history. He's off to the races. All right, here it is from the back view. Same thing. He sees right now this guy's unblocked. Buy some time. He actually goes downhill to make this defender commit to him, and then he just tosses it over their head. Pretty cool. Don't see that every day. All right, so this one is a split zone RPO. So Mark Andrews is just going to block back. And we got hitches out here. Lamar, I probably would have handed it off because of the numbers, but he sees the soft coverage outside. So I guess that's a rule built in where he can just sling it out there and get Odell the ball one-on-one in space. So that's what he does. What I wanted to highlight is OBJ. Not highlight, really low light. Right now, he catches the ball. He should either take a drop step and turn inside and try to split those defenders, or turn outside up the sideline and try to beat him to the goal line. But what he does is he just tries to turn and dance and goes backwards, and that is not, he's just trying to do too much. I think he did it a couple times throughout the game, and it's just causing negative plays. I want to see him just, be deliberate. Just do what you're supposed to do. Catch the ball, get upfield, get as many yards as you can. All right, let's go ahead and move into the defense. Nothing bad to say about the defense. It's pretty much if you watched last week's episode on the coach's film room on the Titans, it's like the same thing. Justin Madubuike is a beast. Watch him right here. He is playing the 3 technique, which means he is on the outside leg of the right guard. All right, and he's just going to bull rush him inside. So he slants in, all right, in between the guard and center, and he just beats him. He's super strong. You're not going to block him like that as an offensive lineman. You got no chance on Madubuike, and he's going to take you down every time he's got that chance. And it's a fumble. I think he was down, but either way. All right, next play I want to highlight my man Arthur Millette. So what you're going to see here is what people like to call America's blitz. So as the nickel / Sam linebacker, he's coming off the edge, and your Mike linebacker here, Roquan, is coming right here. All right, so that puts them on a bind. You also got that and that. So you got 4 guys blitzing to that side of the ball. So there's only 1, 2, 3 linemen. So you better hope this running back does something. But he's on the opposite side, so that doesn't help. So great call by McDonald here. But yeah, let's take a look at it. Motion. Here you got Roquan up the middle. Okay, so the running back didn't even look over here. He just free released. So they got 3 guys to block 4. And then we actually dropped our backside D-tackle Jones like some people do in Madden and just freaking sits there and lurks over the middle. Either way, their offensive line is screwed, unblocked. Arthur Millette, easy sack. Great design by Mike McDonald. All right, next player I want to highlight here is Brandon Stevens. He is in man coverage right here on St. Brown. St. Brown is going to be just running a drag route. All right, so what I want to watch mainly is the closing speed of Brandon Stevens. He does a great job throughout the game getting in and out of his breaks on, in breaking, out breaking routes, curls, things like that. But here's just his speed on display because St. Brown is no slouch in the speed game. All right, so they motion in trying to get him outside leverage, thinking outside leverage versus a drag route should be an easy win for the receiver. Here's the drag. He even has to run through some trash with Millette. So right now you got about 5-yard separation. Watch him close that separation. Whew. He gets there right when the ball gets there, punches it out. Great job putting his fist through the receiver's hands, not letting this ball get caught. Now, granted, Jared Goff definitely needs to get this ball out quicker, but that was great closing speed by Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens, again, is playing better than Marlon Humphrey right now. All right, here, another little highlight with Roquan and Arthur Millette. All right, we got a gap scheme, with pullers coming. I think there's only one puller coming across, maybe like a trap. And it is Roquan's job to get this, I guess, B gap under control. So what he's taught here is to spill the puller, which means he's going to wrong arm him and basically get inside and try to force the running back to get outside. All right, so let's see it play out here. And he's just going to spill this all the way. All right, so he's going to wrong arm him, means he's going to use his left arm to get inside of him and basically gives Arthur Millette a free shot at the running back. Not a lot of people see this type of play because it's a run play, but, I mean, that is textbook right there. Textbook linebacker play. All right, here, last play. Odafe Owe, welcome back. All right, it is evident that he has been working with Chuck Smith, the new D-line pass rushing coach. Just he's not doing what he used to do where he just uses his God-given athleticism to try to run by people. Now he's actually using some pass rushing techniques. Look at this. Gets his hands on. All right, hands inside. Pulls him through, swims over, gets inside. He's not just using his athleticism. Now he's using the pass rushing techniques combined with his athleticism. He, I think, is trending in a huge year for him. That's it for this week's All 22 TK's Coaches Film Room Study. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys give that thumbs up, give me a like, and subscribe. Thanks. All right, and we're back from the TK's Coaches Film Room segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, if you haven't, watched earlier episodes, I am a former college football player, college football coach. So I'm trying to bring my expertise a little bit from that and just see what, let you know how I view the game through my eyes in the All 22 film, the coaches film, and just pick up on little tidbits here and there.
He's really, really good at it. So I suggest you guys, if nothing else, always tune in for that film segment because my boy knows what he's talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, but I did, differ in opinion a little bit from, Kurt Warner's film room talk. He was like definitely kind of just downplaying how well our offense played this week. He's just like saying how our pass game was, he's the word clunky and just, dysfunctional a little bit. And, I understand what he's saying from his perspective because he's used to a certain, West Coast, the timing, the routes, everything's got to be sharp and to a T. But today's game isn't really set up for that type of offense with the athletes that you have at quarterback, the athletes that you have, and the speed that you have at receiver. It's a lot of man coverage on defense, not as much zone, and it's guys kind of freelancing and, option routes all over the place. And I feel like, he's not taking that into account. You also have to think about the fact that the NFL doesn't allow for practice as much as they used to, like the practice time. So these offenses aren't going to have that same crispness that they did back in the day when they could practice kind of unlimitedly.
Right.
Um,
I think, I really like Kurt Warner. I've always liked his kind of post playing career as an analyst. I've always thought he's really knows what he's talking about, and I actually don't entirely disagree with him. I get what you're saying, and I do agree with that. But I do think that there was poor execution on some of the plays where it wasn't like that wasn't necessarily the excuse. For example, that whole play with Lamar checking it down to Gus Edwards, that was just a completely messed up play. You see Zay Flowers lining up in the wrong position or running wrong.
If you look at my coach's film room segment, when you do, you will know that the Gus Edwards play was not a freelance play. That was by design.
Okay, calling me out for not watching it yet. I haven't been sent it yet, so I will.
Okay.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Just messing. Okay, well, okay. I've also seen a couple of times where, like Zay Flowers will run a slightly wrong route or stuff like that. I know he's a rookie, but look, it's not perfect yet. I know that it's as good as we've ever seen it. I think all Kurt Warner is trying to say is when it gets to the point where there are no little hiccups, it's going to look so much scarier, and I think that's really what he's saying. I take it as a compliment. I also take it as he's a quarterback. He played two Super Bowls? Was it 2 or 3? Did he play in the second Rams one?
I don't remember. I only remember one with the Rams.
Right. Well, look, they're nitpickers. He's going to nitpick. He's was one of the most meticulous positions in the sport for a very long time. He's always going to have something to say. But I think it's just his way of saying that we can be so much better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You gotta, always look at the, things from that perspective. That's why after the game, all the players, Harbaugh, Lamar, all those guys are like, yeah, it was great, but we're on to the next one. We got to get better. We got to build on what we've done well, and we've got to get better in the areas that maybe we aren't doing as well in. But overall, from the big picture perspective, I'd say about 90% of our plays were efficient, which is ridiculous.
Is it me, or has it seemed like John Harbaugh has just been he's had like a freaking bowling pin up his butt this week? Like he's just seemed so mad in every interview. I hope that's just the mentality this team is taking. I love it.
I love it. It's like completely different than what he usually is like after wins. Usually he's laid back. He's like all cool. Yeah, he's all cool. He's all red. He's like, yeah, we just won. I'm good. Now he's like, nah, we're not going to sit here and be comfortable all because everyone's handing us all these accolades, all these, everyone's basically giving us the freaking Super Bowl championship trophy already. And I'm like, dude, it's week 8. And this is what Harbaugh's saying. It's week 8. And then I know Marlon Humphrey came out and said, I think it was in a post-practice thing with the press. He was like, yeah, you would have thought that we lost the game by 20 points the way this team meeting went. So that's something that I like to see, honestly, as a fan, as a former player. That's the type of, mentality that they need to have.
Lamar said something that if this is the mentality of the whole team, then it's a very good thing. He said that even, what's his name? T. Martin, is that his QB coach? Or is it, he's been riding him all week too. And he's like, Man, film room training, it's for us to get better, not to celebrate like what we've already done.
Yeah.
We're here to grow. So,
Yeah, 100%.
if they
But let's go
all
ahead
carry that
and get
attitude,
into offensive keys. Yeah, so the Cardinals defense is pretty bad. They are ranked 26th in the NFL, 25th versus the run. And yeah, they're letting up about 130 yards rushing per game. We are right now currently the number 9 ranked offense in the NFL in total offense, number 3 in rushing, 16th in passing. So
okay.
our strength matches up pretty well versus their weakness. We are number 3 in rushing. They're letting up 130 yards rushing per game. So I can see us, taking that and just running the ball down their throat. Also,
Yeah.
they are terrible on third down. The Ravens are ranked number 5 in the NFL in offensive third down conversion percentage. So that's another area that, strength of us versus their weakness that I think we can really key in on. The only key player that I see from their team is their outside linebacker, Kaiser White. He's number 7 on their team. I like him. He's not the traditional 3-4 outside linebacker that stands on the edge of the line of scrimmage. They run a 4-3, so he's back in coverage most of the time, playing at the linebacker depth, normal linebacker depth. So he's just a big athlete, someone to keep watch for. He's long, he's athletic, and he's definitely he's going to be a big time tackler for them. So yeah, that's pretty much what I saw from them on film. I think I just watched their game against Seattle, and one thing I think that they did do well with was Josh Dobbs running the ball. He's a little bit more athletic than people. I don't know why I'm talking about defense. I was talking about their offense. Sorry about that. Their defense got ran on by Seattle. I really liked, honestly, the running back for Seattle. What's his name? Kenneth Walker. He looked really good. Yeah. I really like him. But anyways, I think we can pretty much do the same thing. And they also had guys running down the field wide open. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba got a touchdown wide open.
Yeah, one of the biggest splash play touchdowns of the weekend. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I just think that the way our offense played last week, if we continue to play like that and build on what we did last week, we shouldn't have any issues.
Yep, I think it's establish the run early, lean on the play action when we need to, maybe establish some sort of a screen game, and we should be able to move the ball pretty well. Keep an eye on those penalties, though. Like we said before, that ref is kind of a stickler, and that has kind of been a drive killer for us, especially in games where we just can move the ball so easily. I think last game was the first time I saw us consistently do that without us having to move back at least 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
Because that's something bad teams do is they try to draw penalties. So
I think that if the offensive line can block up Detroit's defensive line, they shouldn't have any issue with Arizona's, because Arizona's hasn't done anything this year. And I don't see one player on their team that I'm scared of on the defense. At least on the defensive line. I think they have Budda Baker in the secondary. He's pretty good.
Is he still on them? I thought he wanted to get traded or something. Or was that someone else? I don't really pay attention to the Cardinals.
I don't either. I could have sworn he was doing their press conference today.
Maybe
he's on the Cardinals.
Who was it who got traded week 1?
Oh, that was the dude he's on the Giants now. Can't think of his name, but he's the long guy from Clemson.
Yeah, he's just never really gotten. What?
Was it Simmons?
Yeah, I think so. And he's just never really gotten the right opportunity. And of course, now he's on a team that's probably worse defensively. So
no, not worse than the Cardinals.
They were playing worse for a while.
I don't know.
They were playing worse for a while.
They've been in a lot of low-scoring games, it seems like.
I mean, kudos to them. They held the Commanders to 7 points. They almost beat the Bills. I think they held them to 16 points.
Yeah.
I forget who they play this week, but it's another winnable game.
They should have beat the Bills. The referees gave the Bills that game.
Yeah, the referees tend to give the game to whoever they want these days, especially in prime time. It's a pretty big FU to the football fans because it's so blatant and it's in our faces, and they won't do anything about it. I mean, I think if you're willing to sacrifice at least 4 hours of your Sunday to watch a game, the quality should be good and it should be called the right way. But, the league's going to do what the league's going to do. So,
yeah,
as long as it doesn't really happen to my team, I'm fine.
It's only a matter of time. But
I think they already did week 4-3 against the Colts.
Yeah.
So.
The main thing for us is we need to be smart. Don't try to do too much. We don't need to force anything. Lamar doesn't need to force passes in there, trying to, do too much because he feels any type of pressure. But just take what the defense gives us and let our players play. We've got better players than them. Get the guys out in space with the ball. Let the running backs, run behind our big offensive line and don't commit any turnovers. No fumbles, no interceptions, and this game is ours.
Look, if I was John Harbaugh, I would tell Justice Hill, if you fumble the ball one more time this season, I'm cutting you. I would tell him that and say, I'm playing you every game. If you fumble the ball one more time, I'm cutting you. Do whatever it takes to learn how to not fumble the ball. Because if you fumble the ball again, I'm cutting you.
So based off my film study, I basically said that the fumble was Lamar Jackson's fault and not Justice Hill's fault.
Why? Just wondering, because I obviously haven't seen it yet.
It was a mesh issue that Lamar did not make a decision quick enough on.
Okay.
But
really?
Yeah,
okay.
Once you watch it, and I'll explain why, but once you watch it, you'll see.
Yeah.
Next, you got anything else for offense?
You kind of already said this with their linebacker. It might be tougher to get the ball to the tight ends. Probably not because they're still a bad defense, but maybe look more towards the wide receivers in the passing game, especially the outside receivers. Again, I don't think it really matters that much, but the one area of the field the Cardinals can somewhat protect is the middle. So,
yeah, definitely.
That's about it, though.
I think Rashad Bateman's really playing well right now. I think he's finally feeling back to himself, and he's getting a lot of separation on his routes. So I would definitely see him having a good game. But let's go ahead and get into the defense. The Cardinals offense is ranked 19th in the NFL. Specifically, they are 28th in passing, so terrible in the pass game, and they're ranked number 6 in rushing. So it kind of reminds me of the Indianapolis Colts offense with their, I think the Cardinals have a worse scheme than the Colts do. And they don't have as good of players, but I think with their strength being, the rushing game, the run game, I think they're going to try to establish the run game and then build off of that. It just definitely reminds me of that as far as the, persona of that offense. But if our defense plays like they have been, we are number 2 right now in the NFL overall in defense.
Behind who?
I think Cleveland.
Okay, that's fine. But I think, if I remember correctly, they couldn't do anything against our offense, but maybe that's just me.
We're number 9 in rushing defense and number 2 in passing defense.
We have 26 sacks in 7 games.
Yeah, so the only thing that I can say that's different about the Colts and the Cardinals is Josh Dobbs is way more of a running quarterback than Gardner Minshew is. He low-key is a dual threat quarterback, and I did not realize that until I watched the game film.
Well, because we've seen Josh Dobbs be like the 3rd string in Pittsburgh for 2 years and Cleveland for another year, so it's like we never really got to see him except for like late in games, and normally we would just kill him because it would be like
Josh Dobbs. He played again with Tennessee.
That's true. He did play on Tennessee, and he actually almost got them to the playoffs, didn't he? Yeah. He was their quarterback for that little stretch when they couldn't trust Malik Willis, understandably so. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I'm so glad we are not Titans fans right now. That has to be one of the bleakest franchises to be a fan of right now. And even though we have a rivalry, and normally I would say, screw you, you deserve it, I actually do feel bad because there is nothing to look forward to as a Titans fan in the foreseeable future. You are the worst team in the worst division outside of the Jaguars, and I'm not saying worst as in like the division won't get a lot of wins, but worst as in like level of play just because of how young everyone is in that division, you know?
Their problem is their GM. Their GM is not giving they have a really bad roster.
I've heard he was like hailed as like a great GM at one point.
Not anymore. He's gotten rid of all their good players, and they're in total rebuild mode, basically. Yeah, to the Eagles particularly. But yeah, so I think the key for the defense: stop the runs, contain the quarterback Dobbs in the pocket, keep him inside the pocket, and I don't think we're gonna have any issues.
Now, there isn't a whole lot of game tape on Josh Dobbs, but from what I have seen, he is a little bit of a resilient guy. You know, he's not someone like Jared Goff where we're going to hit him in the first quarter and he's just going to give up or not know what to do. I think, though, the fact that I can't name a single offensive lineman on the Cardinals, mixed with the fact that our pass rush has been so potent, I don't think he's really going to have much time to breathe. I think it's going to look a lot like the Browns game, where we're just in his face every single play. And that's a great thing. You know, Hollywood's going to try and have a big game. He's going to be covered by Marlon Humphrey. That'll be an interesting matchup. I'm sure Hollywood will get at least one catch because they're going to emphasize getting the ball to him. He might even have like he's not a scrub. I know I said that he looked bad in training camp for the Cardinals, but the numbers say otherwise. He's looked good this season so far. So I take that back. But nonetheless,
against Seattle.
Yeah, the drops are still there. And not to say that we're not dropping balls. They dropped one against the Lions.
They're like legitimate drops. Like Zay fine with 2 yards.
Right. Zay drops it once every other game because he's a rookie and he's learning. Marquise Brown is in what, year 5, 4? Then again, Nelson Aguilar had a huge dropping problem for years and then he turned it around. A lot of Ravens fans dislike Hollywood Brown. I don't have any beef with him. It's not like he asked to leave because he wasn't getting the usage he wanted. Can you blame it? It's like if you want to go to a different job because they're not paying you enough. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I just think that,
and it worked out for us because we got Tyler Linderbaum. So
yeah, I think that anytime a player requests a trade, he's gonna instantly become put on the fans' shit list, pretty much.
And I get that. I don't disagree. I mean, I would love to see him get held to nothing against us because it's competitive. But it's like,
I would be more mad if he was actually like a really good player. I don't really think he's that good.
If it was like Lamar Jackson, I'd be like, nah, I hate him now, But it's Hollywood Brown. Like, can you name, outside of his rookie year, one game where he had just like an outstanding dominant performance? I think he might have had a really good one against the Chargers once.
But every time that he had big games, it was because he was wide open by scheme. It wasn't because he was out there just doing it on his own.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it was so inconsistent. It's not like he's someone we got to worry about just becoming an
I would rather I don't care what corner. It could be Marlon or Brandon Stevens. I've been saying that Brandon Stevens is playing better than Marlon Humphrey. I would just press him. Just press him. We know that's his weakness. Our guys know what his weaknesses are. Get physical with him, and he will fold like a lawn chair.
And also, I know anytime he's up to catch the ball, if you just like breathe on him, he'll drop it. So
exactly,
breathe on him and
get physical with him.
Get physical, yeah.
I'm honestly more afraid of Rondale Moore from their receiving core.
I'm actually decently worried about Michael Wilson. He's looked pretty good so far this year.
Well, Rondale Moore kind of reminds me of Zay Flowers in the fact that they find different ways to get him the ball. They do it in the screen game. They put him in the backfield and hand him the ball. He actually leads all NFL receivers with rushing yards.
And that would make sense against us if they only have their third string running back.
Yeah, so that definitely goes hand in hand. But I think that If I'm the Cardinals offense, I'm going to try to bump up the screen game because that's been like our arch nemesis this year, especially the past few weeks. We haven't done a great job of defending that. And yeah, I think that would be the only thing that I would be thinking about from them offensively that I haven't seen too much from them, but you could this week.
I will say this would be a great game if the Cardinals do a lot of screen against us. I would like to say we'd struggle early, but I feel like this is the perfect team to get right against the screen against, especially if they overuse it because that's all that's working. Come the second half, we'll make the right adjustments, and then we'll be like maybe carry that momentum forward. So I hope they do the screen. I hope they give us a chance to really work on one of our big weaknesses as a defense. That's probably why we're number 2 and not number 1. Well, not entirely, but little things like that.
I think that pretty much wraps up defense. Let's go ahead and get into some bold predictions here.
Bold predictions.
You want to go or do you want me to go?
Tyler, you can go first. I feel like every time you go first, they come right. Okay. So I'm going to let you go first again.
All right. Well, let's keep that going. Offensively, I think we get our first explosive touchdown of the year because we haven't had one where it's been like a big gain, like for a touchdown. I think all of our touchdowns have come within like the 20-yard mark. We haven't really had anything past that. So I think we get an explosive touchdown, maybe 30 plus yards, maybe 40 or so, something like that. I'd like to see even more, but we'll see. And then defensively, I think we just dominate them on defense. I think we're going to cause 3 turnovers on defense. And I could definitely see us scoring our first defensive touchdown of the year.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And then as far as the score goes, I think this is going to be a rout similar to last week, I think. But I think our defense is just going to play lights out. I don't think they're going to be able to run on us like they've been able to run on other teams that aren't as good as our defense. And I think the final score is going to be 31-3 with a big dub.
Okay. For offense, I don't know. I mean, I think we can score a rushing touchdown with 3 different players. I think Lamar's going to have one. I think Gus is going to have one. And I think Justice is going to have one on the ground. But furthermore, I think we're going to make the Cardinals eat their running backwards because we're going to pass for over 500 yards.
Oh, 5.
You know what? That's my bold prediction. I think we pass for 500 yards against this team. I don't necessarily know if the score will reflect that, but I say we pass for 500 yards against this team. Lamar has his best passing game and cements himself as a legitimate top 3 quarterback in this league. I think defensively we have the shutout. We were talking about it against the Titans. We were really upset it didn't happen. We were talking about it against the Lions. It almost happened, and then it didn't happen again. What better way to put a cocky team in their place than shut them out at home? Just saying. Final score, I think we win 23-0. I think we're going to have a big first half. We're going to go up 20-0 in the first half, and then it's just going to be so bad. Maybe even 17-0. It's just going to be so bad offensively from them that beginning of the fourth quarter, Tyler Huntley will come out. Maybe we're already up 23 by then, and he just kind of runs the ball for the rest of the game. I don't think we're going to do to them what we're going to do to the Lions because with the Lions game, we kind of had to make a statement. With the Cardinals, we don't. We could choose to make a statement, and I could be very wrong, and we could win we could pull the Dolphins, but I don't think we will. I think we win 23-0.
All right. Okay, well, that brings us to the Week 8 primetime and AFC North predictions. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up last week. Mike went crazy. He almost had a perfect week if the 49ers could have pulled off the win versus Minnesota.
And you know what? I should have picked the Vikings because I talked so much praise on the Vikings and then still chose the 49ers. I knew the second that the game ended, I was like, crap, I should have picked them.
So not only did you go 5-1 and dominate me last week, you also took the lead on the season by 2 games, 25-16, up 2 games over me at 23-18.
It's still close.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
only 2
literally
games.
last week there were I talked to you about it. There was 2 or 3 games that if they went down to the wire the last minute, last possession, and if they would have gone the other way, we could
You
easily be
should have. Didn't you pick
looking at me
both the
being
Steelers?
5-1.
Didn't you pick both the Rams and the Colts?
I picked the Rams, I picked the Colts, and I picked the Saints.
So you kind of got cheated out of 2 wins. The Saints was just a bad drop at the end. I mean,
the Rams were the only one that didn't come down to the last possession.
It should have.
Well, I guess it should have because of the QB sneak.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
You know, again, like I said, the NFL is going to do what it does. Certain storylines, certain players they love, and others it's just like wait another week. But
yeah,
whatever.
So that is the standings from last week. Let's get into this week. Starting off tonight, Thursday Night Football, Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by 9.5.
Look, I know it's tempting to pick the Buccaneers, but it's not going to happen. The Bills aren't going to lose another game like this. Not against this team. I don't know, man. You couldn't even beat the Falcons at home without Bijan Robinson. Like, what? That's awful. Now you want to go into Buffalo and win? Good luck.
I think Buffalo wins and covers. Buffalo wins and covers.
I was going to say Bills 45, Buccaneers 10, but that's being generous. So I'm going to say Bills 45, Buccaneers 6.
All right, we're on the same page there. All right, next up, it's an AFC North match. Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. Jacksonville is favored by 2.5.
Well, at this point in the year, I'm a better wide receiver than Calvin Ridley, and the Steelers' defense is undefeated in games that they should lose. So the Steelers are going to win 13-10.
All right, I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to say Jacksonville because I think that Pittsburgh is good in low-scoring games, but I think Jacksonville's offense is going to put up some points, and I don't think the Pittsburgh offense is going to be able to catch up with them.
That's what I thought. I mean, that's what I thought about the Ravens, you know. So.
All right, next up, Cleveland at Seattle. Seattle is favored by 3.5 points at home.
No Deshaun Watson either.
No Deshaun Watson.
Doesn't matter.
Also, I want speaking of that, did you hear Devin Witherspoon, the rookie cornerback for Seattle's presser?
No, what did he say?
He said, he said something along the lines of the trainers for Cleveland told Deshaun Watson that he couldn't play this week, and then he said that's probably or at least Deshaun Watson is finally taking no for an answer.
Good God, that's awesome. That man should not be in the league, but that's an episode. That's a different episode entirely.
I love that.
I love that so much. I can't. What was it? It was I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of someone had tweeted, Deshaun, if your shoulder's still bothering you, there are hundreds of massage parlors in Cleveland. Something like that. I think the Browns are still going to win because they're one of those frustrating teams that don't know how to lose when they're bad.
What's their defense?
Their defense isn't. I reject the fact that their defense is good. We killed them.
Well, it's Myles Garrett.
I heard a very interesting take on Myles Garrett earlier on around the NFL, and I'm not going to say I agree or disagree, but I just want to know your thoughts. I think it was Dan Hansis was saying how Myles Garrett, obviously hands down, probably one of the best defensive players in the league, but what separates him from players like T.J. Watt or Von Miller or even like Jadeveon Clowney is like when he has a good game, he's just piling stats. He's stacking stats, and it doesn't matter if they win or lose. He's just having a good game. But these other guys, they'll come out when they need to make a play, like freaking T.J. Watt strip sacking the ball, or Von Miller in the Super Bowl against the Panthers. They're opportunistic. I think what Dan Hansis was trying to say is that as good as Myles Garrett is, he's not very opportunistic with his big plays.
I just think that he plays on the Cleveland Browns, and there's not The games usually aren't in that type of situation.
That's kind of how I feel too, but I don't know. It's an interesting spin. I'm not going to disrespect Myles Garrett like that. He'll make me look silly, but I just thought it was an interesting take.
Yeah. So who are you picking?
Browns.
Okay,
No
I'm picking
question.
Seattle. I think Geno Smith's gonna be able to get the ball out quick enough to move the ball down the field. They got some weapons around them. So, and I really like I said earlier, Kenneth Walker, and I don't think Cleveland's rushing defense is actually that good.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not convinced about Cleveland's defense in general, but man, the Browns. The AFC North is that division where you could start all backups and still win 10 games. We saw it with the Ravens 2 years ago and almost last year and almost 2 years ago. We're seeing it with the Bengals and the Browns and the Steelers. We all these teams just know how to win games when they shouldn't, and that is why I am picking the Browns, because everything in my gut is saying the Browns are the worst team here, and that is why they're going to win.
Okay. Next up, another AFC North one, Cincinnati at San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by 3.5. They are on a 2-game losing streak. So, yeah.
You go first this time.
I'm going to go San Francisco. I think they're going to bounce back.
Yeah, why?
I just think that honestly, I just think that Cincinnati's defense isn't going to be enough. I don't think that.
Yeah. Do we know the status of Deebo Samuel? Is he still out?
That I do not know.
Actually, you know what? I'm fairly certain he is because he's on my fantasy team, and yeah, I think I still have him on IR. So
looks like he's out.
Yeah. Okay. So the 49ers aren't bad. Brock Purdy's not bad. Okay. He's a young quarterback. He's adjusting. He literally lost his first 2 games as a starter in these last 2 weeks. However, his team isn't fully healthy. Christian McCaffrey is fine, but he even had a weird game on Monday night. The Bengals are coming off bye. Joe Burrow is fully healthy again. And like I said against the Seahawks, Burrow's back, baby. And that doesn't unless you're playing against a team in the AFC North, I'm always going to pick Joe Burrow over other team because he knows how to win. So I think the 49ers lose 3 straight and start to absolutely lose their shit and panic when they don't have to. But I think the AFC North is going to sweep it 4-0 this week, which is really frustrating.
All right. I hope you're wrong about that.
I hope so too.
Next, we got the Sunday night football. Chicago Bears at the LA Chargers. Chargers are favored by 8.5 points. Chicago still does not have Justin Fields.
Does Brandon Staley have a job if they lose this game on Monday?
Yeah, this would be 3 straight for the Chargers, and if they lose to the Bears, I think it's very likely that he is gone.
What's their backup quarterback's name? Got to give him props. Yeah.
Tyson Badgett.
Got to give him props. He looked
Shepherd alum.
D2. Yeah, I know. He looked very comfortable against the Raiders, and I think that's more that he was playing the Raiders than anything else, which is kind of funny. But I think that the Chargers.
Now he's got Bosa coming after him.
Yeah, the Chargers are not the Raiders. As easy as it would be to pick the Bears to kind of upset it, and the Bears defense has been playing a lot better. I will give them that. They started against the Commanders. They looked pretty good. I think they had 2 or 3 turnovers in that game. And then the game against – I know anyone could pick off Brian Hoyer at this point, but still they were making turnovers in that game too. They have 2 double-digit wins. This is in LA?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are a good enough team to find their way through this one. I'm not convinced it'll be a comfortable win. I just think they will win. I will say Chargers 20, Bears 18 on a failed 2-point conversion late.
All right. And then the last one is Monday Night Football.
You go Chargers on that one too?
Yeah, Chargers.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last one, Monday Night Football. Las Vegas Raiders at Detroit Lions. Yeah.
I've done all the talking, so I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
I think Detroit Lions got this game in the bag. I think they're going to. I think the Raiders are pretty bad, to be honest. I think they're in rebuild mode and they don't really have anything. But Detroit has something to prove. I'm still a high believer in Dan Campbell. I think he's going to get them prepared and ready to bounce back this week.
I think I agree with everything you're saying. And I don't even know how the Raiders have managed to win 3 games this year because they've looked about the same in every game they've played, which is dreadful. Yeah, I don't think it's much of a contest. I think the Lions are going to be very pissed after what happened to them last week, and they're going to want to make a statement. And this is the right team. Josh McDaniels is the worst coach outside of maybe Urban Meyer in the history of the NFL.
Head coach.
Good
yeah. Offensive coordinator.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Marty Mornhinweg was also a coach. But no, I can't pick the Raiders in any capacity to win this game.
All right. So we got a few differentiations. All of the games. We
could be tied or I could get super far ahead.
Yeah. I think we got 3 games that we are going different on. So we'll see.
We just can't agree on the AFC North. You think they're going to get swept? I think we're going to sweep them.
We'll see.
Hear me out, okay? I don't even think that there's like football logic to this. I think it's more of like superstition football gods kind of logic. The Ravens are never going to run away with the division, no matter how good we are. So as long as we continue to be this good, the rest of the division is going to find a way to make it tough on us and keep it close. If we were 5-11,
breaking news: Jalen Ramsey is planning to return this week for the Dolphins.
Good, they need him. I'm happy. It's always tough to see a superstar sign with a team and then not get to play. So I'm happy that he's out there. That means he'll be ready for us when we get him, which means there will be no excuses for the Dolphins when we put 60 up on them. But, I'm glad to see him back a little later in his career, but I don't know. I mean, he's still Jalen Ramsey. He's had a couple of off games in the last few years. You can definitely tell, maybe he's slowing down a bit. So hopefully the injury doesn't affect that too much. But if I'm going to go with my gut, I think he'll have a fantastic rest of the year and hopefully stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into the Mike's Top 5 Ravens segment.
Thank you. All right. As I was telling Tyler earlier, it looks very different from weeks in the past because this was a very different game. To be quite honest, I went with number 5. I went with Gus Edwards. I know his stats weren't like popping off the sheet or anything like that, but he just played a very well-rounded, solid game. He was there when he needed. As Tyler said, that play was designed. I actually made this before I knew that, so I thought it was just an off-the-cusp thing, which was even more amazing. But just the fact that he was able to take that all the way to their their 10-yard line. And then after that, I think 70 yards on the number 1 rush defense in the NFL or run defense in the NFL, something like that. That definitely earns him a top 5 nod. Number 4 is Kyle Van Noy. What was it? Was it 2 sacks or was it 1.5 he had against the Lions? 2. That's what I thought. He's just been lights out dominant ever since he's joined our team. And he's been a big personality in the locker room. He's been doing a lot of media. He was on the Pat McAfee show. I think that not only is he proving to be still a top guy in his position group, but he's also proving to be a leader in that locker room. Mm-hmm. Number 3, I had Matabike. I felt a little bad for leaving him out last week, but that's not why I have him in the top 5. He's 3 because he is a beast, as we like to call him, Mata Beast. I mean, dude, every time he touches touches the field, he's somewhere near that quarterback. He's a nose tackle, and he has like 4 or 5 sacks on the season.
Not nose. He's a D tackle.
Oh, sorry, not nose. Did I say nose tackle? D tackle.
Yeah, D tackle. But yeah, he also plays on the edge. He does it all. He's all over the place.
Yeah, and I mean, like, 3rd round pick, we're gonna have to fork over a lot of money to keep him because I think this is his contract year. Unfortunately, either this year or next year.
It is this year.
Number 2, I had Mark Andrews. It doesn't matter what year it is, doesn't matter what our record is, as long as Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews are on the field, Mark Andrews will be that guardian angel when a play breaks down. When we need something, Mark Andrews will be there. And good God, he was there again on Sunday in a big way. I mean, dude is a touchdown machine. Everyone really gets on him about drops. He actually, outside of the Steelers game, really hasn't dropped much this year. He's been really solid. And I would argue, outside of Travis Kelce, has been the best tight end in the NFL this year. I know there have been other tight ends making noise: Sam Laporta, Evan Ingram, George Kittle. Those are names. Like Roquan said, we're in the business of show me. And so far, Mark Andrews has shown me, not just been a name,
Yeah.
So number 1, the Crown Prince of Baltimore. Literally the only reason our team didn't descend into a dark hellfire over the last 8 years, or I guess 6 years now, not 8. Good God. Lamar Jackson. Every week I feel like we'll be saying Lamar Jackson just had the best game of his career because he keeps getting more and more comfortable in this offense. I can't tell you how many times I saw him like a centimeter away from a nasty sack, and he just stood in there and threw the ball exactly where it needed to go. I'm still fangirling over that touchdown to Nelson Aguilar, and just the ability that he has with his legs. He showed it. I think he rushed for another 60 yards on the league's number 1 rush defense. So, made them look pretty foolish with his arms and his legs. You could see him be a true leader, when he had that miscommunication, I guess, with Justice Hill. You saw him getting into him on the sideline, kind of just talking through it. You see him after the game, all business. That's all it's been this week. I mean, he's still been like playful, happy, joyous Lamar, but there's been a serious undertone every time you see him speak. And this man is making it hard to not fantasize about a date with the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. You have to temper your expectations, but if he continues to play the way he has been, there is no reason we won't be playing for a spot in the Super Bowl, other than injury.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he's just taken his game to another level this year with his arm and his ability to throw in the pocket. And then you also throw in the fact that he's starting to finally like step up and be a vocal leader for the team and the offense. I think the sky's the limit for him and the offense. And then the way our defense is playing, we are a elite team right now, and I'm just super excited to watch every game because of it.
Oh, I know. I can't, even in the games like the Steelers game or the Colts game where we struggle, there isn't a drive where you can where you can't imagine Lamar just figuring something out and turning the whole game around. I mean, he is just, I don't know. He is the best offensive player I think this team has ever seen. And I know that's controversial because we've had some legends. We really have. But none have commanded the game the way that he has. He is our offense's Ray Lewis.
The only thing that he has not accomplished is the Super Bowl. So, hey, I don't want to like sit here and harp on that because it's week 8, but that's that's the end goal. That's right. Since he got drafted, he said, "I'm going to win us a Super Bowl." And
I mean, how locked in has this man looked?
And then on top of that, a lot of times you see guys when they get that huge contract, they kind of get a little bit relaxed, a little complacent, and don't play at that top level. He's done the opposite. He has elevated his game, and it's like he's trying to prove people wrong every time he steps on the field.
It's crazy. I thought that would get you.
Yeah.
Dude, no, honestly, if you guys think that I left someone out or, did someone a disservice, I'd love to see the comments. I'd love to hear in the comments. We know that we're like still figuring some things out with this show, but we'd love to hear from you guys. We love the constructive criticism, and we always look forward to seeing anything from you guys. So definitely.
Definitely just keep continuing to share this with your friends if you like it. Make sure you like it and subscribe. You can, put in the comments. We'll reply to some comments. You can also email us. The email's in the description, realtalkravenspodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode previewing the Arizona Cardinals for the Week 8 game at Arizona. But yeah, that's all I got for today. How about you, Mike?
I was gonna go ahead and just say all that, like, subscribe, share. Happy Halloween, everyone. I hope that we make the Cardinals defense see ghosts. Seriously, and offense. I know that's so. That was so dumb. That was so dumb. I
think we may have a title.
But either way, guys, like, subscribe, follow, share, and most importantly, enjoy the game Sunday. And let's go Ravens.
Let's go Ravens. Enjoy your weekend, guys.